this video, I'm going to show you how to create a logo for your church using canva.com. You can use this simple logo across all of your different marketing materials, such as flyers or newsletters, but you could also use it on your social media and in your email communications, for example. It's a really good idea to have a consistent logo that you use across all of your different platforms, as this just helps to increase your brand identity and people will recognise your logo. So, how do you get started with creating a logo on Canva? The first thing you need to do is log in to canva.com. I've included a few useful links in the description box below if you need a hand with getting started on Canva, or if you would like to find out more about how to register for a non-profit account on Canva, which gives you all of Canva's pro features for free. Once you've logged on and you're on the homepage, which looks like this, click on the purple Create a Design button in the top right corner of your screen. Search for logo and just click on that first one that comes up. Click on that and that will then open up in a new tab. And you are now ready to start designing your logo. There are two different ways that you could create a logo on Canva. First of all, if you wanted to, you could use one of Canva's templates. If you click on Design down this left-hand menu, and then click Templates, click in the box up at the top and start searching. I'm going to search for church, and that will then bring up some church logo templates that you could use if you wanted to. If you find one that you like, you can just click on it, and that will then insert itself onto your screen and you can add your own information. So let's double click into this text box here and replace that text with the name of my church. You can then resize your text box by dragging the edges. And I'm going to use that 4-pronged arrow to move my text into the middle of my screen. And I'm actually just going to delete this text box which says praying. So I've added my own text onto this template. You could also do things like change the colours. If you click on the element, which is this graphic that was added from the template, you could then click here on that colour square and change the colour of that element to fit in with your church's branding. Same with the text, you can click on it and you could change all of the stylistic features of that text. You could click on here to change the font of your text. You can make it bigger or smaller using the plus and minus buttons on the font size box. And you can click on that text colour box there to change the colour of your text if you would like to. So using templates can be useful because they can give you some inspiration for your church's logo, and you can then change the colours and the text on them to make it your own. However, the slight drawback of using templates is that it is entirely possible that another church or another brand might have used the same template for their logo, so it does make yours slightly less unique. If you wanted to start from scratch and create a logo without using the templates, you can do that really easily. So I'm just going to click on these two things from the template and delete them. So I start off again with my blank screen. And let's now create our logo from scratch. I'm going to go to Elements down this left-hand side. And you can now search for the type of image that you would like to have on your logo. For example, maybe you want to search cross. You see graphics come up here, and if you click on See All, you can then scroll through all the different cross graphics available for you to use on your logo. Do just note that any of those graphics with the Pro crown next to them means you can only use those if you have a paid for Pro account or you have a non-profit account. If you're using the free basic account, you can use any of the elements which don't have that crown next to them. So have a look through, see if there are any that you like there. For this logo today, I'm going to search for a church graphic. So I'm just typing church in that search box. And then you can just scroll through and again choose the image that you like. I'm going to go for this image here of the church inside the circle. So I'm clicking on that to insert it onto my screen. I'm going to click and drag on it to move it up a bit, making sure that I can still see that purple line down the middle of my screen, because that's showing me that my logo is central. Let's now go ahead and add the name of my church. To do that, I'm clicking on text. I'm going to click that purple add a text box button and type in the name of my church, which is Holy Trinity. And then click on that four-pronged arrow again and move it down so that it's not blocking the image. And I'm now going to change the font for my text. If, for example, you've got some branding set up already for your church and you have a font that you use within your materials, then you can use that same font. If you don't have that yet, then don't worry. Just click on that font button up here, and then you can search through all of the different fonts that Canva has available for you. I'm going to use this one called Glacial Indifference. Click on the font that you would like, and that will then change the font of your text. Let's make that a bit bigger now. It's a bit too small at the moment, so I'm going to click on that plus button to increase my font size. I want that to stand out, so I'm going to take it up to about there, 32. So there we go. I have now got a graphic here and the name of my church. I'm now going to do something called group these elements, and what I mean by that is that they will then act as one entity, so I can move them and resize them as I wish without then needing to move them individually. So click on your graphic, press and hold the Shift key on your keyboard, and then click on your text. They're now both highlighted, and if you release your Shift key, you then get the option here to group. Click on that, which groups them together, and I can now move those around as one. So what I want is to make sure that they are in the middle of my screen. So I've got that line down the middle there, and I'm going to move it down until I see another one there going horizontally across my screen. I now know that they are in the middle of my logo. So that is how to create a basic logo on Canva. However, perhaps you would like to have a couple of different variations of the same logo. Maybe you want to have one in black and white, but the main colour for your church is blue, for example. You could create a couple of different variations of your logo within this same design. To do that, click on the duplicate page button up at the top of your design screen. That will then create an exact replica of what you've just made. And let's go ahead and make this now in a different colourway. I'm going to click on the background of my design and click on this background colour button here. And you can then scroll through and choose the colour that you want. I'm going to search for blue and have a look through all these different shades of blue that I could use. I'm going to go for this one here. But now that we've added that background colour, we can see that actually the black of the element and the text doesn't really work. So I'm going to change that to white. So I'm clicking on my text, click on the text colour button, select white, and doing the same again for that graphic. Click on it, click on the colour button, and choose white. So there we go, we've now got two variations of our logo in different colours. And why might you like to do that? Well, it might be that, for example, if you are printing out some flyers to put into the letterboxes of people in your community, but you don't want to use lots of colour ink and you'd rather do that in black and white, you now have a black and white logo that you can use. But perhaps on your website you want to stick to the colours of your church, and so for that you could use this blue one. It's also worth having a version of your logo without text. So again, I'm going to click on that duplicate page button. Because these elements have been grouped, I'm going to need to select that group, click ungroup, and then click on my text and click the delete button. I'll then need to click and drag my element so that is sitting in the middle of my screen. The reason you might like to have a couple of variations of your logo without any text is so that on things like social media platforms, where the profile picture sits in a circle, it just means that you won't get any of your text cropped out and you can just have the image. Let's do that again. I'm going to duplicate the page, click on the background colour, click on background colour button, and I'm going to choose white, again just so I have a couple of colour variations. Select your graphic, again click on that colour wheel, and then choose the colour for your graphic. So there we go, we now have 4 variations of this logo, and you could create more if you wanted to. You could have ones with different colours, perhaps you want one that has the vision statement of your church on it. Perhaps you would like to have 3 different colour variations rather than 2. You can make as many as you want to and then use them across all of your various platforms and marketing materials. Once you're done, you need to go ahead and download your logos. To do that, click on Share, click Download, and you now get a few different options of how you can download your logo. If you click here under File Type, you then get the various options. The one that will be suggested is PNG, and PNG files are mostly used for things like web graphics and logos rather than high quality photos because they take up more storage space. One thing that a PNG file like this offer that the other type of image that I'll show you in a minute doesn't offer is the ability to handle graphics with transparent backgrounds. So if you select PNG here, you then get this option to tick transparent background. So you could download your logos like this one, for example, that's on my screen now. And if you tick transparent background, then the background would essentially disappear. So you could upload this and you wouldn't have this white box around your logo. An instance where this might be really useful is if you were printing out a flyer, for example, which had a different colour background to the background of your logo. So if I was creating a flyer for this church and the background of my flyer was grey, then this white box would stand out against that grey colour. So instead I could download it with a transparent background and then I could just put my logo itself onto that grey flyer without having the white box around it. The other way you could download your file would be to again click in that box and choose a JPEG file. This is one of the most common ways to store digital photos, and a lot of modern cameras use JPEG files to shoot and store their images. The reason you might like to use a JPEG is if you want to download your logo to put on your website. Often websites will only allow JPEG files because they are significantly smaller than PNG files. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to stick with the suggested PNG file, and that's what I would use to upload onto things like Facebook. Tick or untick transparent background depending on what the use of your logo is going to be, and then just click download. As you can see from here, that would download all 4 pages, so all 4 of these different logos we've created would download to my device. If you only wanted one of them, let's say you only want number 2, click in that box, untick where it says all pages, and then you can select the page that you would like to download. You could also select a couple of pages if you want more than one, but not all of them. And then click download. So that is how to create and download a logo on canva.com for your church.